In this episode of Swadesi Startup Speaks, we dive into the evolving startup landscape in India, from rising funding and increased job creation to the spotlight on deep tech innovations. With India's startup ecosystem growing exponentially, we explore the country's potential to contribute significantly to the GDP by 2030, key funding trends, and promising accelerator programs that are fueling the growth of deep tech startups. Startups in India are projected to contribute nearly USD 120 billion, 1.6% of GDP by 2030, a 3.5x increase from USD 35 billion in 2023. The sector is expected to grow significantly, potentially reaching USD 1.6 trillion by 2047. Currently, India has over 146,000 DPT recognized startups and more than 100 unicorns. Startups have already created over 1.66 million jobs across various sectors, with IT, healthcare, and services being major contributors. The government continues supporting this growth through initiatives like Startup India. In 2024, startup funding in India saw a slight rise, reaching $11.3 billion, up from $10.7 billion in 2023. Despite a cautious funding environment, venture capital firms raised $2.5 billion, indicating continued investor interest. Key funding rounds included Zepto's $1.4 billion and companies like Physics, Walla, and Rebel Foods securing over $100 million. Funding patterns are shifting towards fewer, larger rounds, with investors focusing on profitability governance and market strategies. India ranks among the top 10 global markets for deep tech funding, securing $3.4 billion between 2016 and 2023. However, it lags significantly behind leaders like the US, $177.4 billion, and China, $37.6 billion. Despite the funding gap, India's deep tech sector is growing, with more startups reaching higher valuations. The country needs large-scale exits such as IPOs or acquisitions to build investor confidence and bridge the funding gap, potentially increasing its global role in deep tech. India Accelerator has launched its Cohort TE25 program, committing $8, 10 million to accelerate 35 tech startups in sectors like defense, e-commerce, sustainable mobility, and Gen AI. Set to begin in Q1 2025, the program will provide investment mentorship and support in go-to-market strategies. India Accelerator has already supported 225 startups, with two-thirds raising follow-on funding. It also has verticals focusing on sustainability and robotics, with mentors like Amit Kumar and Devang Nerala. Indian startups are set to increase recruitment by 20 to 30% in 2025 as funding improves after a period of layoffs. Job cuts in startups have declined by 46% in 2024, with funding up 14% to $10.9 billion. Growth in hiring is expected in sectors like automotive, FMCG, travel fintech, and e-commerce. Startups are using funding to restructure teams for long-term growth. Salaries are expected to rise by 5 to 7%, and attrition rates are projected to stabilize. SanchiConnect and Your Nest Venture Capital have launched India's largest deep tech accelerator, investing INR 48 crore in 8 startups. The Velocity Accelerator program supports sectors like manufacturing, logistics, healthcare, and AI, offering mentorship, go-to-market strategies, and access to industry leaders. Startups include Indus Leanworks and Think Metal. The program also features a 4-day bootcamp at IIT Kanpur, emphasizing branding, leadership, and team building. The initiative aims to drive India's deep tech growth globally. That's a wrap for today's episode of Swadesi Startup Speaks. As the Indian startup ecosystem continues to thrive, we can expect more innovation, job opportunities, and global recognition. Stay tuned for more updates, and don't forget to subscribe to keep up with the latest from the world of startups.